The Canadian Army reservist accused of recruiting for a violent neo-Nazi terrorist group has been arrested in the U.S. Patrik Mathews had been missing since allegations first surfaced back in August. He was arrested along with two others in Delaware today. All three are alleged members of the base. Mathews is facing firearms charges and is accused of intent to commit a felony. He had been a combat engineer and had basic explosives training in the Canadian military, which released him when the allegations came to light. Soon afterwards, the RCMP raided his home just outside Winnipeg and seized a number of firearms, but they did not find him and they could not charge him. Mathews went missing soon afterwards. The FBI says he crossed into the United States illegally. Ryan Thorpe of the Winnipeg Free Press is the journalist who exposed Mathews' alleged link to the extremist group called The Base. And Ryan joins us now live from Winnipeg. So what more can you tell us about Patrik Mathews, going back to last August?
Well, going back to last August, he was actively going around the city of Winnipeg and putting up recruitment posters for this violent neo-Nazi paramilitary group called The Base. That's what kickstarted our investigation here at the Winnipeg Free Press, which led to me reaching out, posing as a white nationalist interested in joining, eventually joining up with the group, identifying that Mathews was indeed a combat engineer in the Canadian Armed Forces, and then publicly exposing him. What we've learned today, particularly out of the court documents that are being made public out of the U.S., is what Mathews has been up to since he disappeared from his Beausejour home in August and illegally crossed into the U.S. He's been actively moving around a number of different U.S. states, according to these court documents. He's been involved with the building of a fully functioning assault rifle and has stockpiled a pretty considerable number of rounds of ammunition.
Mm-hmm. And based on your investigating and your journalism and him disappearing since the summer, what did you make of today's news of his arrest in the United States?
I was relieved at the news. Patrik Mathews is an individual who, during the course of my undercover investigation, repeatedly expressed a potential propensity for violence. This is someone who I saw spoke openly about murdering people, about committing violence against activists, who referred to famous terrorists as the Saints. So to hear that he had not only an assault rifle, but body armor and more than 1,600 rounds of ammunition, and was apparently interested in going to this pro-gun rights rally in Virginia that has led the governor there to declare a state of emergency. I don't know what his intentions were down there, but I'm certainly glad that this has now come to a safe conclusion.
What were your greatest concerns when you infiltrated this group? What more can you tell us about the base and their goal?
For sure. The base really represents the most violent and radical fringes of the far-right hate movement today. They're not your run-of-the-mill group of racists. These are people who are proponents of a theory called accelerationism, where they want to essentially engage in terror attacks to try and destabilize society and bring about a race war so that they can forge a white ethno-state. It's very explicitly about violence. And folks who track this stuff, researchers, say that it is groups like the base that are the most concerning elements of the extremist right today.
Mm-hmm. There's the rhetoric, there's what you say online, and then there's action. Did you suspect that there was going to be any action taken?
Well, while I was going through the vetting process to join this organization, one step I had to do was I had to meet their recruiter in person. I didn't know at the time this was Patrik Mathews, although I was able to later figure that out. During our meeting here in Winnipeg, he talked about the possibility of derailing a train. He made very clear to me that he wanted to commence paramilitary training here in Manitoba, and that was what he was recruiting me for. He advocated that I get a gun license and to start buying guns. He said if I couldn't get a gun license right away, that he would supply me with weapons so that we could begin training. These groups are not just talk. They are very explicitly about translating their worldviews into real-world action.
And so how concerning should everyone be? How concerned should we be that this person was in the Canadian military?
I think it's incredibly concerning because not only did he have firearms training, as a combat engineer, he was trained in the use of explosives. I don't want to overstate how many of these people are out there. The base is a relatively small organization, but we've consistently seen that it only takes one lone actor motivated by a hateful ideology to cause significant bloodshed. So I think the stance we should all be taking is that even one extremist in the Canadian Armed Forces is too many. But as we know, Patrik Mathews is not an isolated case.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel safe after what you've revealed?
Yeah, I feel safe. I mean, after Mathews disappeared, I think that there was a period of time where we were perhaps a bit on edge, but it quickly became apparent to me that he had likely crossed into the U.S. As far as I was aware, he was the only actor from the base that was active here in Manitoba. So I wasn't overly concerned. Having said that, I'm also not trying to be cavalier about it. These are dangerous individuals, and I had obviously done something that was going to upset them. So I certainly did try to take a number of precautions to keep myself safe.
Okay, well, we appreciate you taking time to speak with us tonight, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Ryan Thorpe of the Winnipeg Free Press. He is the journalist who infiltrated the extremist group known as The Base.